If you stopped working today, how long would your money last? Are you building income for life or building life around income? What if real wealth has nothing to do with salary and everything to do with time? This video isn't about making more money. It's about understanding what money is really for. Because once you understand this, you'll never look at work, money, or freedom the same way again. From the moment we are children, we are taught one powerful emotion about money: fear. Fear of not having enough, fear of being poor, fear of embarrassment, fear of uncertainty. This fear doesn't come from experience alone, it comes from conditioning. Parents worry about bills, teachers warn about bad careers. Society praises stability over learning, and slowly, without realizing it, money stops becoming a tool and starts becoming a source of anxiety. Robert Kiyosaki explains that most people don't work because they love their job. They work because they're afraid. Afraid of missing rent, afraid of losing respect, afraid of falling behind others. This fear pushes people into decisions that feel safe in the short term, but dangerous in the long term. You're watching gang readers decoding ideas, uncovering insights, reading between the lines of the world's most powerful books. Subscribe and upgrade the way you think. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking, poor dad believed fear should be avoided at all costs. He believed a secure job removes fear. A steady paycheck equals safety. Stability is success. Rich Dad believed fear was unavoidable and useful. He believed fear reveals what you need to learn. Avoiding fear keeps you ignorant. Comfort is more dangerous than risk. Rich Dad didn't say fear disappears when you become rich. He said fear changes form. The question isn't, do you feel fear around money? The real question is, do you let fear control your decisions or educate you? Real life example. Think about someone stuck in a job they hate. They wake up tired, they feel unfulfilled, they know they are capable of more, but they stay. Why? Because fear whispers. What if you fail? What if income stops? What if people judge you? So they trade long-term freedom for short-term comfort. Years pass. The job becomes a cage, not because of low salary, but because fear locked the door from the inside. Ask yourself, and be honest, have I ever stayed somewhere only because I was afraid to leave? Have I chosen safety over growth? Do I avoid learning about money because it scares me? Rich Dad believed fear should be faced early when mistakes are small and lessons are cheap. Poor Dad believed fear should be avoided, even if it meant lifelong limitation. Practical takeaway: start by observing your fear, not fighting it. When money creates anxiety, ask, what don't I understand here? What skill am I missing? What education would reduce this fear? Fear isn't the enemy. Ignorance is. And this fear, when combined with desire in them, creates one of the most dangerous traps in modern life: the rat race. The rat race is emotional, not logical. Most people believe they are trapped financial because they don't earn enough. But Rich Dad reveals a harder truth. Most people are trapped because of emotions, not income. The rat race begins with two powerful forces: fear, desire. Fear of not having money. Desire for comfort, pleasure, and status. Together, they create a loop that is extremely hard to escape. How the rat race actually works. Here's how it usually starts. You get a job, you feel relief, fear temporarily disappears. Then comes desire. A better phone, a nicer house, a newer car, a better lifestyle. Expenses rise, stress returns. So what do? You work harder, you chase promotions, you accept overtime, income increases. But so do taxes, bills, commitments. And now quitting feels impossible. This is the rat race. Not because people are lazy, but because emotions quietly hijack logic. Poor dad versus rich dad. Thinking poor dad saw a raise as success. More income meant better lifestyle, more security, proof of progress. Rich dad saw raises cautiously. He asked, "Will this increase my freedom, or will it increase my obligations?" Rich dad knew something most people don't realize. If your expenses rise as fast as your income, you're running in place. Real life example. Imagine two people earning the same salary. Person A buys a big house, takes a long car loan. Lives impressively. Person B lives modestly, invest excess income. Builds assets quietly. 5 years later, person A feels trapped, stressed, and dependent on salary. Person B has options, same income, different emotional decisions. The emotional trap fear says, "I need this job." Desire says, "I deserve this lifestyle." Logic gets silenced. The tragedy is, people believe this is normal adulthood. Rich dad didn't. He believed adulthood should bring more choices, not fewer. Ask yourself, if my income doubled tomorrow, would I be freer? Or would my lifestyle simply expand to consume it? Am I chasing comfort or independence? The rat race doesn't end with more money. It ends with emotional discipline. Practical takeaway. Before increasing lifestyle, increase assets. Before upgrading comfort, upgrade cash flow. And most importantly, pause before emotional spending. Because the rat race feeds on urgency and impulse. Once you understand fear, once you recognize the rat race, the next question becomes unavoidable. Why were we never taught any of this in school? School trains employees, not owners. From a very young age, we are taught a simple formula for success. Study hard, get good grades, get a good job, work for 40 years, retire. This formula is repeated so often that it feels unquestionable. But Rich Dad challenges this belief with a dangerous question. If this formula truly worked, why are so many educated people struggling financially? Schools are excellent at teaching academic intelligence. They teach reading and writing, mathematics, memorization, following instructions. But money doesn't reward memorization. Money rewards decision-making, risk assessment, creativity, ownership. And this is where the problem begins. The hidden curriculum of school. In school, you are rewarded for sitting quietly, following rules, giving the correct answer, avoiding mistakes. But in the real world of money, mistakes are teachers. Questions matter more than answers. Rules are tools, not boundaries. Poor dad believed education meant degrees. Rich dad believed education meant understanding how money moves. Both valued learning, but they valued very different kinds of learning. Real life example. Think about the smartest student in class. Top marks, perfect attendance. Teachers praise them. Now think about where they often end up. Many become excellent employees. Dependable, punctual, skilled, but rarely wealthy. Now think about the student who questioned rules. The one who sold things, tried ideas, failed experiments. That student often becomes a business owner, an entrepreneur, an investor, not because they were smarter, but because they were trained differently. Deeper reflection. Ask yourself, did school ever teach me how taxes work? Did anyone explain assets and liabilities? Was I taught how to read a financial statement? If not, you're not alone. Most people graduate knowing how to earn money, but not how to keep or grow it. Poor dad versus rich dad. Thinking poor dad said, "The company will take care of you." Rich dad asked, "What happens if the company doesn't need you anymore?" Poor Dad trusted institutions. Rich Dad trusted skills and adaptability. Rich Dad believed the most dangerous sentence was, "I'll learn that later." Because later often never comes. Practical takeaway: don't wait for permission to learn about money. Start learning how businesses make profit, how investments generate cash flow, how money is taxed. Education is no longer limited to classrooms. Your financial future depends on what you choose to study outside school. And once school pushes people into jobs, another dangerous belief takes hold: the belief that working harder will solve money problems. That belief leads directly to the next insight. Working hard can actually make you poorer. This idea sounds uncomfortable, even offensive. We are taught to respect hard work. We praise hustle. We admire exhaustion. But Rich Dad asks a question few dare to ask. What if working harder isn't the solution, but the trap? Most people respond to financial pressure by doing one thing. They work more hours, more overtime, more stress. But working harder without financial intelligence often creates new problems. The hidden cost of hard work. When income increases, taxes increase, expenses increase, lifestyle expectations increase. So despite working harder, people often feel more tired, more dependent, more anxious. Poor Dad believed hard work led to security. Rich Dad believed hard work without learning led to burnout. Real-life example, very common. Imagine a salaried employee. They accept overtime to earn extra money, but a large portion goes to taxes. Another portion goes to lifestyle upgrades. Very little is invested. Now they're working longer hours just to maintain the same level of comfort. Time decreases, freedom decreases, stress increases. This is not progress. This is trading life for money. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad said, work harder and you'll be rewarded. Rich Dad asked, who exactly is rewarding you? Poor Dad focused on effort. Rich Dad focused on leverage. Rich Dad understood one smart investment can outperform years of hard labor. The difference between effort and effectiveness. Effort is how hard you work. Effectiveness is how much result you get. Most people increase effort when money is tight. Few improve effectiveness. The rich don't ask, how can I work harder? They ask, how can I make my money and systems work harder? Deep reflection. Ask yourself, if I double my work hours, will I double my freedom? Or will I just double my exhaustion? Am I building something or just surviving? Hard work is honorable, but hard work without direction is dangerous. Practical takeaway. Instead of only increasing effort, increase financial education. Learn leverage, build assets, work hard, but only while learning how to escape hard work. Once people realize that hard work alone isn't enough, they usually make one critical mistake. They buy things that look like success, but quietly destroy wealth. That brings us to next topic. Assets versus liabilities. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take it away. If there is one idea from this entire book that can change your financial life, this is it. Not budgeting, not saving, not earning more, but understanding the difference between an asset and a liability. Most people think they understand this, but Rich Dad reveals something uncomfortable. Most people have been taught the wrong definition. An asset, according to Rich Dad, is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. That's it. No emotion, no justification, only cash flow. Why? This idea is so dangerous. Society teaches us to reward ourselves with things: a bigger house, a better car, a more expensive lifestyle. These things look like success, they feel like progress, but they quietly increase dependency on income. Poor Dad believed owning impressive things meant you were doing well. Rich Dad believed owning income-producing assets meant you were free. Real-life example. Imagine two people earning the same salary. Person one buys a luxury car, a large home, expensive gadgets every month, money flows out. Person two buys a small rental property, dividend-paying investments. A small business share every month, money flows in. After 10 years, person one still needs a salary to survive. Person two has choices. The difference was not income, it was where money was sent first. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad asked, "Can I afford this?" Rich Dad asked, "Will this pay me?" Poor Dad focused on appearance. Rich Dad focused on cash flow. Rich Dad didn't hate nice things. He simply refused to buy them before assets. Why? This concept feels uncomfortable. This idea challenges identity. People want to believe their house is an asset, their car is an achievement. Their lifestyle proves success, but Rich Dad believed honesty beats comfort. If something doesn't generate income, it may be valuable emotionally, but financially, it's a liability. Reflection. Ask yourself, slowly and honestly, how many things do I own that pay me? How many things require my salary to survive? If my income stopped tomorrow, what would still generate cash? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are powerful. Practical takeaway. Start building a habit. Before buying anything, ask, does this increase my income or my dependency? Begin small. Even tiny assets teach big lessons. Because once you truly understand assets and liabilities, your financial behavior changes forever. And now that we understand assets, we must confront one of the most controversial ideas in the book, the idea that shocks almost everyone at first. Why your house is not always an asset. For many people, this is the most difficult idea in the entire book. From childhood, we are told, buy a house, it's the best investment. Owning a home is treated as responsibility, success, adulthood. So when Rich Dad says, your house may not be an asset, people feel attacked. But Rich Dad wasn't attacking home ownership. He was challenging financial misunderstanding. Real-life example 2. Families earn the same income. Family A buys a large house early in life. High EMI, high pressure, little room for investing. Family B rents modestly, uses surplus income to buy rental properties. After 15 years, Family A owns one house, but still works full-time. Family B owns multiple income streams, same income, different priorities. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad said, home ownership builds discipline. Rich Dad said, so does paying yourself first, without debt. Poor Dad valued stability. Rich Dad valued flexibility. Rich Dad didn't say, never buy a house. He said, Don't confuse emotional comfort with financial growth. Why this idea feels so emotional? A home is personal. It represents safety, family, identity. Rich Dad understood this, but he separated emotion from numbers. Emotion makes people defensive. Numbers tell the truth. Reflection. Ask yourself, does my home generate income? Or does it depend entirely on my job? If I lost income, would my house help me or hurt me? These are not judgment questions. They are clarity questions. Practical takeaway. If you want a home, buy it consciously, understand its cost, don't rely on appreciation. And most importantly, build income-producing assets before or alongside your home. That's how homes become comfortable, not stressful. Once people understand assets, once they see why houses and cars aren't always investments, a new question arises. Why do the rich buy luxuries so easily later in life? The answer leads to topic. The rich buy assets first, luxuries last. The rich buy assets first, luxuries last. One of the most misunderstood ideas about wealthy people is that they love luxury more than everyone else. Big houses, nice cars, vacations, freedom. From the outside, it looks like they indulge without concern. But Rich Dad reveals a truth that most people miss. The rich enjoy luxuries, but only after assets are already paying for them. The poor and middle class often do the opposite. They buy luxuries hoping money will work out later. This single difference silently separates two financial futures. The order of buying matters. Poor Dad believed success should be rewarded immediately. Work hard, get promoted, upgrade lifestyle. Rich Dad believed rewards should be delayed. Build assets first. Let income grow quietly, then enjoy life without pressure. Both approaches feel logical, but only one leads to freedom. Real life example. Imagine two young professionals. Both get their first major raise. Person A upgrades immediately. New phone, better car, expensive apartment. They feel successful, but dependent. Person B keeps lifestyle the same. Uses extra income to buy, dividend investments, small rental property, business ownership. Years later, Person B's luxuries are paid by assets, not salary. Person A's luxuries require constant income. Same starting point. Different order of decisions. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad asked, why not enjoy life now? Rich Dad asked, what happens if income stops? Poor Dad believed money should make life comfortable. Rich Dad believed money should make life optional. Why delayed? Gratification is powerful. Delayed gratification isn't about suffering, it's about control. When you can say no to immediate pleasure, you gain leverage over your future. Rich Dad believed discipline creates choices. Poor Dad believed comfort created happiness. But comfort without independence often becomes anxiety.
Reflection. Ask yourself, do my purchases increase freedom or obligation? Am I buying for comfort or for validation? Could my assets pay for my lifestyle if I stopped working? These questions don't judge, they clarify. Practical takeaway. Create a simple rule. Assets first, luxuries later. Not never, just later. Because luxuries taste better when they are paid for by freedom. Once you understand why the rich delay pleasure, the next question becomes clear. Why does money seem to flow towards certain people effortlessly? That leads us to the next insight. Money flows to those who understand it. Many people believe money is unfair, that it favors the lucky, the connected, the already rich. Rich Dad disagreed. He believed money behaves like water. It flows toward clarity, structure, understanding, and it avoids confusion. Money is not emotional. People are. Why money avoids most people? Most people say, I'm bad with money. But money doesn't judge ability. It responds to behavior. People who don't understand money fear it, misuse it, avoid learning about it, so money passes through their hands but never stays. Real life example. Two people earn the same amount. One studies, investing basics cash flow risks. The other avoids numbers. One sees opportunity. The other sees danger. Over time, money gravitates toward the person who understands it, not because they're lucky, but because they're prepared. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad believed money causes problems. Rich Dad believes lack of education causes problems. Poor Dad warned about losing money. Rich Dad taught how to manage risk. Avoiding money doesn't protect you. Understanding it does. The emotional barrier to learning money. Money triggers fear, shame, ego. People avoid learning money because it exposes mistakes. Rich Dad believed mistakes were tuition. Poor Dad believed mistakes were embarrassment. One mindset learns, the other hides. Reflection. Ask yourself, do I avoid looking at my finances? Do numbers make me uncomfortable? Am I afraid of discovering the truth? Money flows toward honesty. It avoids denial. Practical takeaway. Treat money like a subject. Study it slowly, without pressure, without judgment. Read financial statements. Track cash flow. Learn the language of money. Because money doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards understanding. Once people understand that money flows to knowledge, they begin to see opportunities everywhere. And that leads to one of Rich Dad's most powerful ideas. The rich don't wait for money. They invent it. That brings us to next topic. The rich invent money. They don't wait for it. Most people believe money is something you earn. You work, you get paid, you repeat. But Rich Dad taught something radically different. Money can be created. This idea alone separates employees from investors. Poor Dad believed income was limited by job role, salary structure, working hours. Rich Dad believed income was limited only by creativity, financial education, courage. The rich don't wait for better salaries. They look for better structures. Why most people miss opportunities? Opportunities rarely look safe. They look uncertain, uncomfortable, confusing. Poor Dad saw risk and stopped. Rich Dad saw risk and asked, what do I need to learn to reduce it? This difference is everything. Real life example. Two people see a distressed property. One says, that's risky, too many problems. The other says, if I fix the problems, can it cash flow? One walks away. The other studies, negotiates, restructures. The deal doesn't create money by magic. Understanding does. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad asked, how much do I make per hour? Rich Dad asked, how many people and systems can work for me?
Poor dad traded time for money. Rich dad built structures that produced money repeatedly. Why creativity beats. Capital, many people say, I don't have money to invest. Rich dad responded, that's why you must learn. Money follows ideas. Those who understand leverage, partnerships, and systems can start with little and grow steadily. Reflection. Ask yourself, do I believe income is fixed? Do I wait for raises or create opportunities? Do I avoid ideas because they feel uncertain? Uncertainty is where money is born. And once money is created, the next challenge appears. Not earning money, but keeping it. That brings us to one of the most misunderstood topics of all. Taxes reward the financially educated, not the hardworking. Many people believe the system is unfair. They say, the more I earn, the more I'm punished. Rich Dad saw something different. He saw a system that rewards knowledge structure, legal understanding, and penalizes ignorance. How taxes really work. Employees earn money, then get taxed, then spend what's left. Business owners and investors earn, reinvest, deduct expenses, then pay taxes. Same income, very different outcomes. Not cheating, just understanding rules. Real life example. An employee earns extra income. Before they see it, income tax deductions. Obligations. A business owner earns revenue, they deduct. Operating costs, reinvestment development. Then taxes are calculated. One complains about taxes. The other plans around them. Why financial education matters. Here, taxes are not about income. They are about categories, classification structure. Those who understand accounting and law legally reduce their burden. Those who don't work harder to compensate. Reflection. Ask yourself, do I understand how I'm taxed? Do I learn about money rules, or just complain? Am I playing this game blindly? Rules don't change for feelings, they change for knowledge. Practical takeaway. Learn basic accounting, how businesses are structured, how investments are taxed. You don't need to be an expert, but ignorance is expensive. Once people understand taxes, they realize something important. High income doesn't guarantee wealth. That leads us to next topic. Financial IQ matters more than salary. Financial IQ matters more than how much you earn. One of the biggest myths about money is this. If I earn more, my money problems will disappear. It sounds logical. But Rich Dad observed something that contradicts this belief completely. Some of the highest paid professionals in the world, doctors, engineers, executives, athletes, still struggle financially. Not because they don't earn enough, but because they don't understand how money works. Rich Dad called this financial IQ. What is financial IQ? Financial IQ is not about being good at math. It's about understanding how cash flow moves, how risk works, how taxes affect income, how leverage can help or hurt someone with high income. But low financial IQ often becomes trapped by lifestyle and obligations. Someone with modest income but high financial IQ can slowly build freedom. Real-life example. Imagine a doctor earning a very high salary. They buy a large home, expensive cars, luxury vacations. Their income is impressive, but their expenses grow just as fast. Now imagine a small business owner earning less. They reinvest profits, control expenses, build assets. After 15 years, the doctor is still working long hours. The business owner has options. Same intelligence, different financial education. Poor dad versus rich dad. Thinking poor dad believed more income solves money problems. Rich dad believed more knowledge solves money problems. Poor dad focused on earning. Rich dad focused on managing and multiplying. Rich dad understood that money without intelligence is temporary. Why high income can be dangerous. High income creates confidence, sometimes false confidence. People feel safe spending more without understanding long-term impact. Financial IQ creates caution, clarity, and control. Ask yourself, do I rely on income or understanding? If my income stopped, would my knowledge protect me? Am I learning how money behaves or just chasing it? These questions define futures. Practical takeaway. Start building financial IQ intentionally. Learn to read simple financial statements. Understand where your money goes. Study basic investing concepts. Income feeds lifestyle. Financial IQ builds freedom. And once people realize income alone isn't enough, another truth becomes impossible to ignore. Depending on one source of income is extremely risky. That leads us to the next insight. Depending on one income source is financially dangerous. Most people feel safe when they have a job, a steady paycheck, a routine, predictability. But Rich Dad believed this sense of safety was often an illusion. Because when income comes from one source, you are one decision away from instability. Why one income creates fragility? If your income depends on one employer, one industry, one system, you are not in control. Even loyal employees are replaceable. Companies restructure. Technology evolves. Markets change. Rich Dad believed real security comes from multiple income streams. Real-life example. Imagine someone with one job, one salary, fixed expenses. If that job disappears, savings drain, stress rises, choices shrink. Now imagine someone with rental income investments, business cash flow. Losing one stream hurts, but doesn't destroy stability. Poor dad versus rich dad. Thinking poor dad believed a good job is security. Rich dad believed control over income sources is security. Poor dad trusted employers. Rich dad trusted systems he understood. Why people avoid multiple incomes? Because it requires learning new skills, facing uncertainty, stepping outside comfort. Fear keeps people dependent. Rich Dad believed dependency was the real risk. Ask yourself, if my main income stopped today, what would happen? How many streams feed my life? Am I building backup screen or hoping nothing changes? Hope is not a strategy. Practical takeaway. Start small. One additional income stream. Dividends, rental income, side business royalties. Multiple streams don't require chaos. They require intention. Once people understand income dependency, they begin to question another belief. The idea that job security is guaranteed. That leads us to the next topic. Job security is a myth. Skills are real security. Job security is a myth. Skills are real security. From a young age, most people are taught to chase one thing above all else: job security, a stable company, a permanent position, a predictable salary. It feels responsible, it feels mature, it feels safe. But Rich Dad believed this idea was outdated and dangerous because the world doesn't reward loyalty, it rewards relevance. Why job security feels safe but isn't? People feel secure when income is predictable, routine is familiar, responsibilities are clear. But this security depends on forces outside your control. Companies merge, industries shrink, technology replaces roles. When that happens, loyalty offers no protection. Rich Dad didn't distrust companies, he distrusted dependence. Real life example. Think about industries that once felt untouchable: film photography, video rental stores, traditional retail. Millions of skilled, loyal workers lost jobs. Not because they were bad employees, but because the world changed. Those with adaptable skills survived. Those with only job titles struggled. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad believed a good company will take care of you. Rich Dad asked, what skills will take care of you if the company disappears? Poor Dad valued stability. Rich Dad valued adaptability. The difference between a job and a skill. A job belongs to an employer. A skill belongs to you. Jobs expire. Skills compound. Sales, communication, leadership, problem solving. These skills travel with you. Rich Dad believed skills were the real assets. Ask yourself, if my job disappeared tomorrow, what skills would protect me? Could I earn income in another environment? Am I upgrading my skills or just maintaining my position? Security built on dependency is fragile. Security built on skills is durable. Practical takeaway: instead of chasing job titles, learn communication, learn selling, learn negotiation, learn leadership. These skills don't guarantee wealth, but they guarantee options. Once people understand that skills matter more than job titles, another belief begins to change. The belief that the purpose of work is only to earn money. That leads us to the next insight. Work to learn, not just to earn. Most people choose jobs based on salary. How much does it pay? What benefits does it offer? How fast can I get promoted? Rich Dad believed this approach was short-sighted. He believed jobs should be chosen based on what they teach, because money comes and goes, skills stay. Why salary-first thinking is limiting. When salary becomes the main focus, learning slows, comfort increases, growth stalls. People stay where they feel paid even if they stop growing. Rich Dad believed growth should come before comfort. Real-life example. Imagine two young professionals. One chooses a job that pays slightly more but teaches very little. The other chooses a role that pays less but teaches sales, negotiation, and leadership. 5 years later, one is dependent on salary raises. The other can create income in many environments. Same intelligence, different priorities. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad said, focus on a stable career path. Rich Dad said, collect skills like assets. Poor Dad believed specialization meant security. Rich Dad believed versatility meant freedom. Why learning creates leverage. When you understand how to sell, how to persuade, how to manage people, you are never powerless. Rich Dad believed the most dangerous employee is the one who only knows one thing. Ask yourself, what am I learning in my current work? Would I still be valuable if my role disappeared? Am I earning money or building myself. Work is temporary. Learning is permanent. Practical takeaway. Choose opportunities that stretch you, teach you expose weaknesses. Short-term discomfort often creates long-term independence. Once people focus on learning instead of comfort, they begin to face something unavoidable. Fear. Fear of losing money. Fear of failing. Fear of looking foolish. That leads us to the next topic. Fear of losing money keeps people poor. Fear of losing money keeps most people poor. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human behavior. It keeps us alive. It keeps us cautious. But when it comes to money, fear often becomes a prison. Rich Dad observed that most people don't fail financially because they make mistakes. They fail because they are terrified of making mistakes. The fear of losing money is so strong that people choose safety over growth, even when safety slowly destroys them. How fear controls financial decisions. Fear says, what if I lose? What if I fail? What if people laugh? So people avoid investing, avoid businesses, avoid learning new skills. They keep their money safe, while inflation silently erodes its value. Rich Dad believed playing it safe was the riskiest strategy of all. Real-life example. Imagine two people with some savings. Person A keeps all money in a savings account. No risk, no learning, slow loss to inflation. Person B invests cautiously, makes mistakes, learns, improves. After 10 years, one preserved fear, the other built confidence and assets. The difference was not intelligence, it was courage to learn through loss. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad said, don't take risks, you might lose money. Rich Dad said, learn how to manage risk. Poor Dad avoided mistakes. Rich Dad expected them. Rich Dad believed losses were tuition fees for financial education. Why fear feels rational, but isn't. Fear feels logical because loss is visible, but opportunity loss is invisible. People fear losing 1 lakh rupees, but ignore losing decades of potential growth. Fear focuses on short-term pain. Wealth requires long-term thinking. Ask yourself, do I avoid investing because I fear loss? Have I confused caution with paralysis? Am I protecting money or avoiding growth? Fear never disappears, but education reduces its power. Practical takeaway. Don't aim to avoid losses. Aim to learn faster than you lose. Start small. Study mistakes. Increase knowledge before increasing money. Because fear shrinks with understanding. And when fear is replaced with understanding, something powerful appears. Confidence. Not emotional confidence, but calculated confidence. That leads us to the next insight. Confidence comes from financial education, not luck. Many people believe the rich are confident because they have money. Rich Dad believed the opposite. They have money because they are confident. And that confidence comes from education, not luck, the source of true confidence. Real confidence doesn't come from guessing. It comes from understanding numbers, knowing risk, having experience. The rich don't gamble. They calculate. Poor Dad believed confidence came from job security. Rich Dad believed confidence came from knowing what you're doing. Real life example. Two people consider the same investment. One feels fear, they don't understand it, they walk away. The other studies cash flow risks exit options. They proceed calmly, same opportunity, different confidence. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad said, "That's risky." Rich Dad asked, "What's the downside and how do I control it?" Poor Dad relied on opinions. Rich Dad relied on numbers. Why education reduces fear. Fear thrives in ignorance. Education brings clarity. You don't fear driving because you understand it. You don't fear reading because you've practiced. Money works the same way. Ask yourself, do I feel confident around money topics? Or do I avoid them because they feel overwhelming? Am I waiting for luck instead of learning? Luck favors preparation. Practical takeaway. Commit to continuous financial education. Read books, study investments. Analyze mistakes. Confidence is built, not inherited. Once confidence grows, people are ready to take control of their income. That leads to a powerful habit Rich Dad emphasized. Pay yourself first. Which brings us to the next topic. Pay yourself first. Yeah, the discipline that builds wealth. Most people believe they will invest after they take care of everything else. Bills first, expenses first, lifestyle first. And if anything remains, maybe they'll save or invest. Rich Dad believed this logic quietly guarantees poverty. Because for most people, nothing ever remains. So he taught a radical habit, pay yourself first. What pay yourself first really means. This does not mean spending money on pleasure, it means investing. First saving, first building assets first, before lifestyle expands. Poor Dad believed discipline came from budgeting. Rich Dad believed discipline came from pressure. When you pay yourself first, you are forced to learn how to live on what's left. Why this feels uncomfortable. Paying yourself first feels risky. People think, what if I can't pay bills? What if something goes wrong? Rich Dad believed that discomfort was the point. Pressure forces growth. Comfort breeds stagnation. Real life example. Imagine two people earning the same income. Person A pays bills, spends freely, saves whatever remains. Person B automatically invests first, then adjusts lifestyle. After years, Person A wonders why savings never grow. Person B builds assets without relying on motivation. Same income, different order. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad said, be responsible. Pay bills first. Rich Dad said, pay yourself first. Responsibility will follow. Poor Dad avoided pressure. Rich Dad used pressure to build strength. Why this builds discipline. When money is tight, creativity increases waste, reduces priorities, clarify. Paying yourself first exposes bad habits. That's not failure. That's feedback. Ask yourself, do I invest only when it feels easy? Or do I structure my life to force growth? Am I disciplined or just comfortable? Discipline created under pressure is stronger than discipline created by intention. Practical takeaway. Automate paying yourself first. Even a small amount trains behavior, builds confidence, creates momentum. Wealth is not built by leftovers, it's built by priority. Once people control where money goes first, they start noticing something surprising. Money doesn't change people, it reveals them. That leads us to the next insight. Money amplifies who you already are. Many people believe money changes people. That money makes people greedy, selfish, arrogant. Rich Dad believed something deeper. Money doesn't change character, it reveals it. Money is an amplifier. Whatever you are, money makes you more of it. How money reveals personality. If someone is generous, arrow money amplifies generosity. Greedy arrow money amplifies greed. Fearful arrow money amplifies fear. Money removes excuses. It exposes habits. Poor dad believed money caused corruption. Rich dad believed lack of self-control did. Real life example. Two people receive a sudden financial gain. One wastes it, shows off, feels entitled. The other plans, invests, remains grounded. Same money, different character. Money didn't change them, it revealed them. Poor dad versus rich. Dad thinking poor dad said, money is the root of problems. Rich dad said, money magnifies problems that already exist. Poor dad avoided money to avoid temptation. Rich dad believed self-mastery mattered more than avoidance. Why this insight is important. People chase money hoping it will fix life. But money doesn't fix. Discipline, mindset, values. It magnifies them. Chasing money without inner development often leads to chaos. Ask yourself, how do I behave with small amounts of money? Do I manage it wisely, or emotionally? What would money reveal about me? Small habits predict big outcomes. Practical takeaway. Before chasing more money, build discipline, develop patience, clarify values. Money is power, and power should be handled carefully. After learning all these lessons, after understanding fear, discipline, assets, education, and mindset, everything leads to one final truth, the most important lesson of all. That brings us to insight to next topic, the meaning of true wealth and financial freedom. Wealth is about time and freedom, not just money. When most people think of wealth, they think of numbers, salary figures, bank balances, net worth. But Rich Dad believed this definition was incomplete and misleading, because money alone does not create freedom. Time does. Rich Dad defined wealth in a way few people consider. How long can you survive and live well without working? That answer reveals true wealth. Why high income can still mean poverty. Many people earn large salaries, but they also work long hours, answer emails, constantly depend entirely on income. If work stops, money stops. That is not freedom. That is dependency. Even if income looks impressive. Poor dad believed wealth came from high salary. Rich dad believed wealth came from control over time. Real life example. Imagine two people. Person A earns a very high salary but must work every day to maintain lifestyle. Person B earns less each month but owns income-producing assets. One is busy, the other is free. One sells time, the other owns time. Over years, the difference becomes enormous. Poor dad versus rich dad. Thinking poor dad asked, how much money do you make? Rich dad asked, how much time do you control? Poor dad respected hard workers. Rich dad respected people who built systems. Why time is the ultimate asset. Money can be replaced, time cannot. Rich dad believed money is a tool. Time is the goal wealth gives you. Choice, flexibility, peace. Not just comfort. Ask yourself, if I stopped working today, how long would I be okay? Does my income buy freedom or obligation? Am I designing life for income or income for life? These questions change priorities. Practical takeaway measure, progress not only in money, but in freedom gained. Every asset should reduce dependence, increase options, buy time. That is real wealth. And when people finally understand what wealth truly means, they realize something powerful. Money problems are rarely about money. They are about thinking. That leads us to the final and most important insight. Financial freedom always starts in the mind. Every lesson in Rich Dad, Poor Dad points to one unavoidable truth. Before your income changes, before your investments grow, before your lifestyle improves, your thinking must change. Poor Dad and Rich Dad earned money differently because they thought differently. The power of questions. Poor Dad asked, "How much does it cost?" Rich Dad asked, "How can I afford it?" One question shuts down thinking. The other opens possibility. Rich Dad believed the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your questions. Why most people never escape financial struggle? Because they never challenge beliefs like, "I can't afford it," "I'm not good with money," "It's too risky." These beliefs feel safe, but they quietly destroy potential. Rich Dad believed beliefs should be questioned, not obeyed. Real-life example. 2 people face the same opportunity. One says, "That's impossible for someone like me." The other says, "What would I need to learn to do this?" Same situation, different identity. One stays stuck, the other grows. Poor Dad versus Rich Dad. Thinking Poor Dad believed, "Be realistic." Rich Dad believed, "Be educated, then be bold." Poor Dad focused on limitations. Rich Dad focused on possibilities backed by learning. Ask yourself, what money beliefs did I inherit? Do these beliefs protect me or limit me? Who would I become if I thought differently? Freedom begins the moment beliefs are questioned. Practical takeaway. Change your inner dialogue. Replace "I can't" with "How can I learn?" Replace fear with education. Replace excuses with curiosity. That is where financial freedom begins. Rich Dad. Poor Dad is not a book about getting rich. It is a book about waking up. Waking up to one line at a time with space. How fear controls decisions. How education shapes freedom. How systems matter more than effort. How mindset determines destiny. Money is not good or bad. It is a mirror. And what you see in that mirror depends on how well you understand it. Silence. Then the final truth. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a sign of growth. If it made you question old beliefs, final line, slow, calm, irreversible, that's the beginning of freedom. Stop trading time for money forever, buying liabilities to look successful, avoiding financial education, letting fear decide your future, believing school taught you everything. Start building assets, learning continuously, thinking like an owner, designing freedom intentionally. If this video changed how you see money, subscribe for deep, no-fluff book breakdowns. Because wealth is not luck, it is learned. You're watching Gang Readers Decoding Ideas, uncovering insights, reading between the lines of the world's most powerful books. Subscribe and upgrade the way you think.